Hello everyone and welcome back to another album review, and in this video I'm going to review Handfuls of Night by Penguin Cafe. If there is one modern classical orchestra that I admire and I love the most with every single release they have put up until this point, it's Penguin Cafe Orchestra. Their career has started from back in the 70s and their last album, Union Cafe, is one of my favorite albums of all time. It's an album that is mostly part of my childhood, but I still haven't found something in terms of classical music that would be as impactful and as astonishing as Union Cafe. And pretty much the entire discography of Penguin Cafe Orchestra is quite solid. It's really consistent. However, it's really unfortunate that the project of Penguin Cafe Orchestra ended with the passing of the main composer of the orchestra, Simon Jeffers. Recently though, back at the end of the last decade, Penguin Cafe Orchestra were reformed, now being known as just Penguin Cafe, which is a follow-up to the previous project, where the leading composer is Simon Jeffers' son, Arthur Jeffers. And it's really impressive to see that Arthur Jeffers with Penguin Cafe has actually managed to bring back the sound of Penguin Cafe Orchestra. He has pretty much kept the same vibe and the same aesthetic, and what made Penguin Cafe Orchestra one of the most special and one of the most exceptional modern classical bands in recent years. The new works from Arthur Jeffers might not feel as eventful or as unique or as astonishing. It doesn't have that much of the energy or the really out there moments with some of the previous works from Penguin Cafe Orchestra, but even what he does with Penguin Cafe has some really nice and solid instrumentation that can also contain percussion and bass and lots of other instruments, with the Imperfect Sea being their debut album released on Erase Tapes Records, which is possibly the most well-known and most popular modern classical label currently. This marks a brand new road of the astonishing compositions of Penguin Cafe, and so this made me excited to listen to the second album they would release on Erase Tapes Records, and I pretty much got what I expected. Production on this thing is incredible. The whole performances on this thing are once again excellent. I would say that this one is possibly the most mellow and the most melancholic album from Penguin Cafe so far. At times it's a bit minimal. On other moments I would like this to be a bit more eventful, have something more to it rather than what it presents. Though what's by far my favorite moment out of this album, which is definitely the most unique one out of this entire album, is the track Pythagoras on the Line Again, which is sort of a continuation of one of the most unique tracks on the album, Union Cafe, called Pythagoras on the Line, which is a track that is really different compared to the rest of the album because it brings a far different aesthetic. It's a bit of like a short interlude containing some varied electronic sounds and also some repeated phone call samples. This was definitely one of the most intriguing and one of the most different moments I've heard in any modern classical album. And it's pretty nice to see that in this particular occasion they have taken pretty much the same idea but have given it a more of a modern classical feel to it. There's more of like this classical instrumentation. They make the track drag for about 5 or almost 6 minutes long, and what they've done with this track is a really nice and really weird and intriguing rendition of one of the weirder tracks out of the entire Penguin Cafe Orchestra discography, giving it a more of a classical feel to it, and it's by far my favorite moment out of the album because it's a really nice sense of nostalgia, and it's pretty impressive how they have remade the idea the way they did. Then the other moments that I truly liked were the teaser tracks, Chapter and At the Top of the Hill They Stood. Really two of the most intriguing tracks out of the entire album. The rest of the thing is more of like your decent usual stuff from Penguin Cafe. It doesn't have something that unique or something that really made me come back to those tracks. I think some of the first tracks, Winter Sun and Chin Strap, are quite nice, but there are other moments like the track Adelle and The Life of an Emperor that feel a bit weak. As far as I like this more melodramatic and sad sound from Penguin Cafe, in my opinion, there could have been more into this album, but we're still talking about a quite solid album from Penguin Cafe. Especially with tracks like Pythagoras on the Line Again, they truly show that they're one of the most unique and one of the most innovative modern classical bands to exist out there. Maybe not one of my favorite works in the Penguin Cafe catalog, but still it's another solid album, and I definitely suggest you to go and listen to this if you're looking for a modern classical release. This one is quite exceptional, just like with everything else Penguin Cafe Orchestra have done up until this point. I'm going to give this album a 7 minus out of 10. What's your opinion on this album? Like it, dislike it, why, and what do you want me to review next time? Let me know down in the comments. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more content like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.